Welcome back to my channel. I love to do pretty unconventional modifications in order to avoid buying fast fashion and trends, and maybe you can get inspired and modify some of your clothes that you already own in your closet and avoid buying fast fashion too. Let me premise that even though I am wanting a particular item in my closet that is not necessary to have, I don't encourage you wanting that as well, because you probably don't need another pair of pants just like I don't either. I decided that I wanted to chop off the top of my pants because I am so over high-waisted pants. Yes, a lot of fashion brands are going to low waist, but can I please claim that I never really liked high waist in the first place? Did I give in because that's what everyone was wearing? Yes, but it is not comfortable. High waist pants dig into my gut, and I've never liked how they felt on my body. I was about to donate these pants, especially because they were so high waisted and so tight fitting, but I thought, what if I just chopped off the top of them? Because they were so tight, I thought maybe I could leave them because, you've seen those pants where they just have the zipper and no button. I thought it could be a look. Okay, I tried it and they would not stay on my body. Another thing about me, I like to modify my clothes as quickly as possible because I don't like to sit still for long. Realistically, I'm not a huge crafty stay-at-home kind of person. I like to be outdoors and active. So if I'm going to do a project, it's got to be small, it's got to be quick. I did not think that I was going to be re-sewing the waistband onto these pants, but as soon as I chopped it off, I thought this could actually be really easy. I recently re-sewed a waistband onto Riley, my husband's board shorts, and he's been wearing them all the time, and I was so proud of myself that I decided, you know what, I'm ready. I'm going to re-sew this waistband onto my pants. Even though I don't have a heavy-duty needle, a heavy-duty sewing machine, I knew that I could be just careful with sewing multiple layers, and I knew my machine could handle this. In order to perfectly cut off the waistband, I had to disattach half of the belt loops, and then I had to pull out the good old seam ripper, because in order to make this look best, I would have to seam rip the seam, and then I could sew it over the top of the waistband well. Seam ripping the belt loops and the waistband seriously only took me 4 minutes. I like to kind of chopstick is what I call it, the two pieces of fabric, and pull really hard and seam rip with the other hand, because that is a really quick way to do it. Now, I really was just winging it at this point, so it did take me a moment to realize that I would have to add fabric to the waistband in order for it to fit onto the pants. There are definitely more professional ways I could have done this, but again, really trying to do this in a hurry. I'm not that picky with fashion. A lot of seamstresses feel like they have to do everything perfectly, so it looks like they didn't sew it, but I really don't think people notice the little flaws. So therefore, I just grabbed a little bit of fabric from the rest of the waistband I had cut off, and I just added it. I of course measured my waist, tried on how many inches I wanted to add, and I added it in the most unconventional way, but I seriously don't mind how it turned out. While I was at it, I actually completely removed one of the belt loops simply because I wanted to re-add it to the leg later to give kind of a cargo look. I also was scheming re-adding the warp and weft tag back onto the pants to give that cargo look as well. I'm becoming notorious for re-adding tags onto clothes because it gives a fun vintage feel, and the more I do it, the more I see this at stores and laugh, because it's seriously the easiest thing to do to clothes you already own. Because this fabric was so stretchy, I knew that I could just stretch as I sewed to make the waistband fit the pants. So no, the waistband was not the exact same length as the pants, and it wasn't too far off that it would give kind of a ruffled, ruched look at the end, which would obviously look really bad. This part would definitely make professional seamstresses cringe as well, but I hardly measured and I hardly pinned. I basically just find the middle of the waistband and the back of the pants and pin that together. I pin the other end, and I maybe add 2 more pins so that as I'm pulling, stretching, and sewing, they stay somewhat even. After I sewed the entire waistband on, which was way easier than I thought, unfortunately when I did sew past that piece of fabric that I had added to lengthen the waistband, things got a little wonky, and this was my punishment for not pinning the right way. Basically, the waistband rolled as I was sewing, and it created this really weird wrinkle, but oh my gosh, look at these pants, they're turning out so good. I almost left it with the wrinkle because, again, people hardly notice these things. I didn't really care, but it was so easy to sew this waistband and so quick to seam rip that I thought I would make it right. So I seam ripped that really fast and re-sewed it back on to fix the wrinkle. Of course, there still was that little wrinkly kind of section of where I added the extra fabric, but kind of still giving cargo. At this point, I'm freaking out because these pants are turning out so cute. I was about to re-sew on the warp and weft tag when I thought, honestly, it's not that cute, and the brand isn't one I'm proud of. It's kind of a brand that greenwashes. These pants were not sustainable. So I opened up my bag of vintage tags, didn't really like any of them, almost sewed on this Levi's one from an old vintage Levi's t-shirt I thrifted. But I'm not super proud of repping Levi's either. I actually greenwashed too, by the way, and for whatever reason, it just annoys me that Levi's are such a trend. I just don't like wearing Levi's pants. So I will probably put this cute tag on a hat or something, but not on these pants. So I went in my closet, which by the way is filled with vintage thrifted stuff, and I found this extremely random vintage looking tag, and I just thought it'd be cute and once again give the cargo look. I'm sewing and designing so spontaneously that by the time I took this video of where I thought I was going to put the tag, walked to the sewing machine, I changed the location to adding it to the pocket. I also spontaneously shortened all the belt loops. I really wanted to keep them long to fit maybe a bigger, wider belt, but I could not because they were overlapping onto the pockets, and now it was really quick to shorten them. I just chopped them and folded them over and re-sewed them on, and actually they will still be functional. In the end, I'm actually so surprised this whole transformation took an hour and 20 minutes. That is way cheaper and way more convenient, I'd say, than going shopping for some low-rise pants, and of course way more sustainable and ethical. If I were to spend a little more time on these, I would seam rip the tops of the pockets and shorten them, just because it looks a little funny to have massive butt pockets on these low-rise jeans. But honestly, I'm just gonna rock it for now, and I swear I'm gonna wear these all the time because they're so comfortable. I've never publicly shown my weird, unprofessional ways of upcycling my clothes, so please let me know in the comments what you thought, if you liked following along with me, and if you're gonna do this yourself. And I've already filmed 2 more of these videos, so more to come. Until next time.